what time it is.
Bless up.
Give me a hell yeah.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the par, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's the end of the thing. So do it for Deuce and Mo.
We are live!
Do it for Deuce and Mo.
Better late than never, right?
That's what they say.
We're on every game. We're not going to mail it in and read box scores. We're going to be live talking about what went down tonight. Kings lose again. How are we doing after Thanksgiving?
What up, Deuce?
Oh, what's up, my man? Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, Morgan.
Hello.
I'm rooting for y'all.
Oh.
Thank you.
Maybe you should root harder for the Kings. Try it, huh?
Okay.
It's not his fault.
Good to be back. We just got back from San Francisco, the NBC Sports California studios, where we were hosting Kings pregame and postgame live for Kings Celtics.
So fun.
It's kind of fun to say we were hosting.
I
Hey,
know.
Martin was hosting. It's kind of fun the last couple days.
we were hosting, and it's so cool. And I always thought about it too. I'm like, well, if this ever got to be a regular thing, we would just probably do a night chat from there, so then it could be more immediately after. But
yes.
not something we have to worry about right now. But
Exactly.
still,
Yeah, and last, I I know. I figured like, hey, let's just go late. It's fine. It's a weird time, right? Holidays just happened.
Sure.
We were on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, the night after, and we're 2 hours after losses. It's going to be a different vibe.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Glad
We're
to be
here. We're
and
here.
I'm glad everyone who is here.
We said we're going to be live after every game. We're going to be live after every game, even if it's delayed a little bit. So, it won't be delayed anytime soon, but last couple of games it's been delayed. Man, one disappointing thing, man. I was just, for me, selfishly, just from a purely selfish standpoint,
I already know what you're going to say.
I just wanted a Kings win so I could be on a post game after a win on TV and just light the band.
Interview a player.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
you could have had that moment,
it's all
but
right.
you didn't get
It was
that
fun,
moment.
though. It was really cool.
Dude, you were so, like, I know if I say you were so awesome, you're going to be like, what do you expect, Morgan? I'm amazing. You were awesome.
you.
And it was so fun and different for me just because I work with so many different personalities.
Yeah. Well, and you've worked with me for so long. It's a little easier.
Yeah, but I didn't know what it was going to be like in that situation with me hosting because you host the podcast.
You don't have anyone in your ear right now besides me. Usually you have a producer talking.
Dude.
Hey, look over camera too. Hey, Deuce, tonight, like I had the, hey, get your hand out of your pocket. Oh, what do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do.
Aren't you a little proud of me that I'm capable of multitasking with someone?
Yes.
Because I know how you feel about me not on TV multitasking. So thank you.
I appreciate the kind words. And I appreciate like Mark Jones sent me and you the
my
nicest
God.
text ever, which was super cool.
So nice.
That was super awesome. I also have like the utmost amount of confidence in myself.
But you should
So-
because you're a student of the game, not only the basketball game, but even the broadcast game, Deuce.
Well, I appreciate it.
You
I appreciate
are.
it. Well, that's enough about us.
Enough about
us.
you.
We'll start the podcast in a quick second. Hope you guys enjoyed the holiday, whatever you did. If you ate a lot, hung out, did nothing, worked, whatever, hopefully it was good for you. Unfortunately, the Kings lose back-to-back games now. It's a 7-game streak. It was so fun.
I know. I forgot what it was like to lose. It's not as fun. It's not as fun after a game like this. Let's
It's
talk about it, though.
It's not as fun, and there's a lot to go over. I felt like this. I know we're going to dive in the podcast, but just real quick for the people who are just filtering in. Shout out Carlin. What's up, Car? I was just so disappointed with tonight's game, and it's not about them losing. It's just how it went down. But let's give some love to the chat, right?
Do it.
Shout out to people on Twitch. My guy Peg Junk's in the building. Are we doing a little roll call?
Roll
a little
call.
post Thanksgiving. Wake up. We don't care that it's nearing the 10 o'clock Pacific time hour. Shout out to David for being here. Jesus Christ, my King's in the building with Force Ghost Fabio. We've got Big John, Lydia, Arcos, Ghost, Govado, CJ, Jesse James, Donald James X, Moshi, loyal Sac Kings fan. We appreciate you guys being in the building tonight. Clint, oh, I love it. Tan Protocol, David Booth, Joe, Ken, the OG with Christine, one of our favorites, Eric Kang. And how about Christine saying, what else are we supposed to do on Friday night?
Oh.
No, there's probably a lot you'd rather do than talk about Kings after a loss. What's up? Hey, Car, what's up, man?
It's such a good time for Kings basketball that it's like, no, I think people want to break it down and feel a certain way and not just feel like it's just another loss like old times.
All right, someone asked for it. I think it was Arco's Ghost. Can we get a hell yeah?
Give me a hell yeah.
All right, I'm loosened up. I'm ready. Let's make sure I gave Twitch some love too. Yes. What's up? A couple of first timers. Rube. I like that name.
Good job.
Peg Junk. Appreciate you guys being here. All right. Let's talk about this one. Deuce and Mo coming down in 3, 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast. The Kings' 3-game road trip is in the books, and it ends with back-to-back losses to one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA tonight, the Boston Celtics. The Beam team went to Beantown.
Huh.
and it all fell apart. And it fell apart quick late in the third quarter. Celtics beat the Kings 122-104. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan recording this a little later than normal. Usually we're on like an hour after the game. It's been a couple hours now because we were hosting Kings live pre and post game on the TV side, and the studios are in downtown San Francisco.
Hey.
So we drove home back at the studios for this podcast. Morgan, how you doing tonight?
I'm still great.
You're still great.
Yeah, I still feel a little bloated from the Thanksgiving dinner, but, I'm still
Do
great.
you really feel bloated?
No, honestly, like, I could barely zip up my skirt, and I was like, God damn it, really?
I think for me, this is probably the least, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I had enough.
I didn't feel like I did, but maybe like just all the sodium or something. I couldn't zip up my skirt, and I rent my clothing, so I don't really have many choices. So, yeah. But hey, and about the game, yeah, I feel okay.
You feel okay. I walk away from tonight's game. This is probably the most disappointed I've been in a performance tonight in the season. Yeah, I mean, the Detroit game was pretty disappointing, but they found a way to win. And it's not, again, that they lost this game. The Boston Celtics are keyed in. We talked about it on the pregame show. I was looking at the fact, Horford left for a minute. But Marcus Smart, Tatum, Brown, Horford, that group, they played together 5 seasons now. They know each other so well in all facets of the game. Yep. They know everything about each other, where they want the spots,
how to get each other going,
the intricacies of the game. Where in Sacramento, you got a lot of talented guys with high IQ still learning each other.
Still fresh.
And so you just see that play. It's a team that went to the finals last year. And Jason Tatum is, in my opinion, the front runner for MVP right now.
Fair. But
I think why I'm disappointed is just because they came out tonight sloppy as S. And they finished sloppy in Atlanta, right? Like, they were missing shots and maybe mental fatigue, back-to-back in Atlanta. I get it. Second half of back-to-back, mental miscues. They had 8 turnovers in the fourth quarter. But you get a day off. You're in Boston. First quarter, they got 10 turnovers. And I felt like a lot of them were just not crisp passes
lazy
whatsoever.
Yeah, and when I say lazy passes, right? They weren't like being lazy out there. It wasn't the effort that was being put into the pass. You just had to make more crisp passes against a better team. Not even a better defensive team, but a longer team, a good team, a team that's played together. And so those passes were super annoying. Obviously, shots still weren't falling. It was their lowest scoring first quarter this season with only 22 points for the Kings. But it wasn't even about that for me. It's exactly what you said. It was the turnovers. It was the attention to detail and getting in that hole early again.
And that's what was frustrating. I mean, you talk about trying to get it over the defense. There was one play where Herter had Sabonis wide open, a little pick and roll action. It was beautiful. He overshot the pass and it went out of bounds. And it just felt like there was a ton of those. There were 10 in the first quarter alone. And all of a sudden you dig yourself a hole. You're down 16 points. And that's just so hard to get back in the game in a place in Boston where they have one home loss the entire season. It's a team that's obviously pretty locked in. Winners now of 11 of their last 12 games. They're rolling right now. And so I felt like that hurt them so much early in this game. And the other thing with the offense is people, I don't think, remember this enough. When you have those live ball turnovers, when you have those miscues, you put your defense in a bad spot. On our pregame show today, we were talking about some of the good defensive moments there in the second half against Atlanta. And there is a few really great moments where you're starting to see signs.
The team defense, togetherness, yep.
I mean, coming into tonight on the season, they were 25th in defensive rating. Last 10 games before tonight, they went to 21. The last 5 games before tonight, they were up to 18th. In the NBA. So not great by any means, but the one way you can hurt your defense is by having those type of turnovers. And that hurt them so much tonight, Morgan.
Well, it hurt them too because the Celtics did a much better job, especially as of late, capitalizing on those turnovers and hitting transition threes and just making them pay for being sloppy. And there was times in this game too that the Sacramento Kings had those moments where it was a swing play in their favor, but then still couldn't keep things consistently going in their way.
On the bright side, after that first quarter where they were down 36-22, ended up getting down by as many as 16 points, the response was there. And I didn't know when this was going to happen again, but this is what we always talk about with guys in the rotation. You never know when you're going to get called again. And tonight, it was KZ Okpala.
Love it.
Started the first 3 games for Sacramento, then plays like 6 minutes in that's what his average is, 6 minutes a night when he even played, which he wasn't playing unless he came in at the end of a quarter for 12 seconds to defend something. They put him in tonight. The guy stayed ready. He ends up giving them some big-time minutes off the bench, plays nearly 21 minutes in this game, and he was active. He made life a little more challenging. Tatum missed some shots on him because Tatum's a great player, but he made some plays out there, and I felt like that second unit all of a sudden got them back in the game. Davion was doing some things. Malik Monk was doing some things early. They were able to cut that lead big time, and KZ played some big-time minutes.
KZ did a fantastic job, especially when he had to guard Jason Tatum, a guy that is not only an incredible scorer, but can also find teammates as well, be that playmaker out there. And for KZ to lock him down at times or take away his vision as much as he could was exactly what this team needed when they were getting killed. And it wasn't even the Celtics killing them at first. It was them doing it to themselves. So that's why it was great to see the energy and that spark come off the bench.
And that's hard sometimes to stay engaged, especially if you're a guy like KZ who did start the first 3 games of the season, then you're out of the rotation, not playing.
Yep.
Mike Brown's giving you these random-ass minutes at the end of quarters. Credit to him for staying engaged and then coming out and trying to have an impact. He impacted the game with that type of energy. I thought Davion did some nice things. And they all of a sudden, it started looking like the Kings again. It was like, hey, they're getting some stops. There's some decent defense being played out there. Then they were knocking down some shots, right? 40 points in that second quarter. They go to halftime. They're down 2. And you're like, well, that was a great reset.
It
The
was.
terrible first quarter, and you got back in the game by halftime. It was great.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt very encouraged. I was like, okay, this team knows how to rally back. And it wasn't like, oh, the Celtics are just screwing this one up for themselves. It was the Kings and their energy and their spark and their bench, their depth that was getting them back in this one, right? Again, shots not falling for so many guys that you're seeing shoot so well on a consistent basis night to night, but it wasn't about them. It was about the way that they were playing basketball to get themselves into this one.
Playing aggressive, too.
Yep.
They got the Celtics into some foul trouble. Brown picked up his 3rd foul in the second quarter. You know, Smart was frustrated going into the second half. And then coming out in the third quarter, it was like, they're getting some stops the first few possessions, right? And then it's like, wait, the Kings have the lead? The third quarter was fun for a while. I felt like
For a while.
well, you had Smart picking up the flagrant foul on Fox when he contested the 3 and it came in Fox's landing zone. Fox goes to the line, hits all 3 free throws, and then the Kings end up getting their largest lead of the game, 82-76. They then were up 89-84.
And that's when things happen?
Yeah, I actually messed that up.
Okay.
That's when Boston went
Okay.
back up. But they were up 82-76. But then Boston goes on this unbelievable run. The final 3.5 minutes of the third quarter, when you need to close and get some momentum going in the fourth, they absolutely fell apart.
Dude.
Like, what happened?
And what was crazy too is that Mike Brown wanted to see them play through it. They couldn't do it, so he calls timeouts, right? Then they weren't responding out of these timeouts. Like, things just got worse and worse. And I didn't even know what to do in that moment. I felt pure frustration, so I can only imagine what it feels like playing in this game and having that just feeling dominated in those final few minutes of that quarter. It was absolutely atrocious basketball by the Sacramento Kings in the way that they were playing, but the Celtics also did a fantastic job capitalizing on that.
So it ended up being 84-79 at the 3:12 mark of the third quarter.
Okay.
Kings are up. the Kings scored 20 points the rest of the ball game. After the 3:12 mark of the third quarter, they scored 20 points the rest of the way. And I think some of the stuff, like Boston, I mean, they've been a good defensive team. They're not as good as they were last year, especially without Robert Williams, who's anticipated he may come back around Christmas. But they still have guys who know how to play defense, right?
Yeah.
Like Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. Brown's a good defender. Tatum, they rotate well, play some good team defense.
Brown, yeah.
But man, the Kings just settled. They settled. Like Mike Brown wants paint touches. And what do we see when the Kings offense is in a roll? They're getting paint touches. I don't care that they miss shots, but what I don't like is when guys just get the ball on the perimeter and they go, oh, I'm just going to launch a shot. And I got to be honest, the guy who was probably the biggest culprit of this tonight was De'Aaron Fox. He settled way too much from outside.
Well, Celtics didn't take them out of their game there either. You're exactly right. It was the Kings that started just to play a different way and didn't be aggressive and be assertive and go to the rim with authority. It was like, all right, we're going to settle for this outside, or we're going to settle for this midi, or I'm not even going to have confidence going up for this floater. And it was super frustrating seeing at times, but you talked about the paint touches. That's exactly what Mike Brown was saying even after the game, talking about, yeah, we're getting the paint touches when things were flowing and things were good in our offense, and we had some sort of pace out there. But then when things weren't going well, it was no paint touches, and the flow, the pace of this squad was just non-existent.
And then when they went to the post with Sabonis, I'm like, there's no movement whatsoever. Like, Sabonis is just going to go one-on-one. None of the guys around are doing anything off ball. What is happening? And so, and, you know, at some point you want, and I hope this is a big lesson for them tonight, is like, yeah, you can have a 3-minute stretch where maybe things aren't going right, maybe. But for a team like Sacramento, this is not all rookies playing right now.
Yeah.
It's not just a super young team. Like, you have guys who've been in the NBA for a minute. That's where you guys need to, like, figure it out, come together and go, we need to do this. Sabonis, speak up. Fox, whoever it is, you have to be vocal and change it. And then if you play your game, you live with the results.
Yeah. And I think we saw at times too, Sabonis bring guys together and try and talk through it. And that's what I liked. It didn't seem like anyone was sulking, even in the really bad times when I was sulking while watching this basketball game and I felt depressed at times. And then I had to remind myself and have a different type of perspective. And the perspective was, okay, you're playing one of the best teams in the NBA. You're playing an MVP candidate as of right now. And on top of all of that, you're still battling and staying in this one at first until they started obviously really taking that lead.
And that's why it was so disappointing from that 3:12 mark or whatever it was on, where you only score 40 points the rest of the way. In the second half, Morgan, Sacramento was outscored 58-42. They shot 13 of 42 for 31%, 5 of 18 from 3. They had 6 turnovers that turned into 13 points. On the night, Sacramento had 18 turnovers that turned into 27 points. And now we're talking about 3 straight games where they had 20 in Memphis, 20 turnovers, found a way to win. Atlanta, 19 turnovers. You lost that game. And then tonight, when you're that close to the 20 mark, then you better be hitting all your shots.
Yeah.
And the Kings were turning the ball over, not playing their game. And then when you finish on the night, 9 of 36 from 3, Keegan did not make, he made a 3 late in the game. They kept him in. He was 1 of 6. Kevin Huerter, who's been lights out, was 0 for 6. Sabonis 0 for 2. Malik Monk 1 of 6. Those numbers are going to crush you. Fox 3 of 9.
Yeah, I think this loss for me was really, it was most frustrating, not because the shots weren't falling. It wasn't frustrating because Celtics went on a really, really big run where the Kings just couldn't stop them. It was the hole that they dug themselves in the beginning of the game and then how they started losing it in that third quarter. That was the most frustrating.
Yeah, and it's not about losing to a good team. It's about how you lose, and they did not play the right way. Flat out, they didn't play the right way for the majority of the game. And if you're going to be a good team, if you're going to try to be competitive in this Western Conference that you can tell is just insanely competitive right now, then you have to play the right way, especially against these elite teams. You can't have mistakes like they did tonight. And that's why I was frustrated with how this road trip ended. You know, the Atlanta game, I it's like that one was irritating from the standpoint that it's like Atlanta tried to give it to them. I felt like the Kings were like out of gas. This game, it was like, what went wrong? What, you were up, you were feeling it. I felt like there was a momentum shift in the game with some of the calls.
Totally.
Tatum was frustrated. I mean, we saw some technicals
Grant
tonight.
Williams.
Hey, let's give it up. Mike Brown got technical.
Dude,
First one
that
of the
was-
season.
It was great to see, and it was
On a terrible call. Fox gets tripped.
That was
no
it.
call. So Brown gets teed up. Then Fox got a technical as well, his second of the year. We saw Grant Williams get a technical. Who else got a technical tonight? Then
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown got one. So 4 technicals in the game. And then, you know, Tatum was irritated. And then I felt like he got going after that. I was like, oh, Jason Tatum is awake and he is ready to go. Let's see his second half numbers. Tatum in the second half, 14 points, 4 of 4 shooting, 2 of 2 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists in the second half.
When he's locked in, it is so frightening. It's so scary. He is such a good player. And I can't even sit here and tell you this is how you stop him. This is how you break down his game and throw a double at him. Take away, it doesn't matter if you take away his vision. He will shoot muscle memory. Like his length will still create this beautiful shot. I mean, his ability to get to his spots, but to also find his teammates, just an incredible basketball player.
Kings held to 104 points. I feel like this road trip, the offense has had some really tough moments. The end of the Memphis game, right?
Yeah.
Atlanta. And then tonight, only mustering 104 points, shot 41%. We mentioned 25% from 3. Boston on the other end, shooting nearly 50%. They knocked down 16 threes. They made the most threes in the NBA this year. Tatum had 30. Brown had 25. That's literally what those two average. I knew they were going to get theirs. I'm not even mad how they play defense tonight against those two guys because they're just great players, and that's what they do. Those are their averages. I think this was more about how Sacramento did not execute their game plan at the end of a road trip, and they got to get their stuff together fast.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like that we don't have to question their effort and everything that we've seen in their 7-game winning streak as a fluke or anything like that. It's how are they going to respond? How are they going to learn from another loss and a different type of loss like this? And I think when you look at their shooting, you can also talk about, okay, are they tired at the end of a road trip? Is it their shot selection? And I would go more toward, yes, it's trying to take the first shot and not the best shot and not working your way into the paint and then moving the ball around to get that wide open 3. And even if you're going to miss that, great. But there's a different type of momentum, a different type of energy when everyone's touching the basketball. But also guys weren't moving without the basketball. There's not a lot of willing cutters tonight. Kevin Huerter still does a fantastic job moving. But that was the other part. It was difficult getting the ball to those open cutters because there's so many long guys on the Celtics. And when you can't get it to them like that, you got to find a new way to gain position. Maybe it's not a backdoor cut. Maybe it's not just slicing through the middle. Maybe it's finding a way to get here and then putting your body on them and really gaining that front position.
If you're here in the chat, the biggest thing you could do, hit the thumbs up button. Shout out to people joining us hours after the game. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to close in on that 10,000 sub mark. It would help us grow so much. Also, we should let people know that since it's like technically Black Friday, but you know, it's a holiday season. We're like, you know what? Let's do a little discount today. Over at deuceandmo.com. You click on merch, use promo code PURPLE at checkout. You'll get 20% off your order. That's PURPLE at checkout, 20% off your order. We'll have that through the weekend. We've got hoodies. We got stickers. We got the new logo stuff. We got Tower Records versions of our logo. Night chat shirts, hoodies. We got it all. deuceandmo.com. Click on merch. Use promo code PURPLE. You'll get 20% off our merch through the weekend.
Yes, through the weekend. It ends Monday. And again, a lot of people hitting us up going, hey, this is what I'm getting people for Christmas presents. I'm like,
Oh, it's a good move.
yeah.
Also, shout out to Kessie. He resubscribed. 19 months for him, one of the OGs from Australia.
Thanks,
also, in Bliss says, Dude, you sound so much like Charlotte Flair. It's crazy.
You do or me? I do?
Yeah, I sound like Charlotte Flair, Morgan.
Why do I really sound
I mean,
like
I could hear
I don't
it.
feel like her voice is
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I'd have
see
to
it.
hear a comp. I'd have to hear it back to back. Also, I want to get some people in the chat who are discussing Keegan Murray. I feel like he's been a popular topic tonight. Keegan Murray was 1 of 8. He was 1 of 6 from 3. He had 3 points. He had 10 rebounds in 22 minutes of action. And Keegan has been in a funk, as we have talked about, for a minute now. And he got off to a really nice start to his rookie season. In the last 3 games on this road trip, he was 2 of 21 shooting.
That's bad.
And I know some people, I've seen some people suggest send him to Stockton. I've seen others say have him come off the bench. Definitely monitor the situation with Keegan, but I'm going to tell you that tonight, I felt like his energy was completely different than it has been. I felt like he came out and he played hard. He was doing the right thing. The fact that he had 10 rebounds, I was encouraged by that tonight. But in addition to that, I can't tell you during this 3-game stretch how many of his shots, and I might go back and look at this tomorrow, look at every one of his shots, how many of those shots rattled in and out.
Sure.
It's been tough. But last game, I felt like he was not playing with confidence. I don't feel like he was attacking strong. I felt like he was confident tonight. And the other thing I like is that Mike Brown kept him in this game. Mike Brown kept him in this game late, and he saw 3 go down. My one thing I want to add before you jump in, Morgan,
Okay.
I think there's so much them trying to get him going from 3. Get him an easy look around the basket to start a game. Get him to the foul line. Have him just see the ball go in. I'm not concerned about it. And I know it's just, to me, this is a long season. You can't get too high or too low with guys, especially rookies. Like, he's going to go through a funk. And he's going through a major funk that he probably has never felt in his life before. I've also seen Harrison Barnes go through a major funk.
Yes.
Keegan can get out of this.
Yes. I agree with that last statement. Keegan can get out of this. I also agree with how he came out to start this game strong, aggressive, way more confident than we've seen. And I loved it. Then there's those moments that chip away, whether it's at his confidence and he didn't really show it, but obviously you felt like he was consistent with his confidence throughout this one. I don't necessarily agree because I felt like there's those shots that rattled in and out in the beginning, the way that he'd go to the basket seemed a lot more stronger. And then after getting blocked a few times or shots weren't falling, I noticed like the confidence in his body on his shots. Like it was the something that I had said about De'Aaron Fox last season when he was shooting from beyond the arc. It was he wasn't shooting in one full motion, and that's going all the way to the fingertips and the way that you're just following through. And I felt that a little bit with him, especially later on with some of the shots. And then the way that he was going to the basket, it was softer again later on in this game. And I know you say, stop trying to set him up from 3, like get him some of those easy bunnies, but he's got to do a better job. He has to do a better job of still trying to attack and go through guys. Try being physical and get the offensive charge, right? Like get that type of call on you. Go through somebody, stay physical, stay intense, because I'm feeling like he's trying to do a little bit of a hook shot or a little bit of a soft shot. And it's like, that's just not going to fly right now in the NBA. And guys can feel that, and they're going to hunt you out and have even more confidence when they go up against you.
Yeah, and I just, in my opinion, I look at something like tonight and I go, okay, so you have him come off the bench. Let's just play this out.
I don't want that.
No,
but
some people are saying that.
Yeah.
Is that's going to make his shot rattle in instead of out?
Right. I agree.
No, it's not. Like, he didn't look lost to me tonight. And that's a big thing. There have been a couple games where like, hey, are you locked in?
Yeah.
Like, it's all good.
Much
Tonight,
more locked in.
I felt like he was locked in tonight. And like, you're going to have games where you miss shots. Kevin Huerter is a 50% 3-point shooter this year. You know those numbers are going to drop. He went 0 for 6 from 3 tonight. It's kind of crazy for Kevin Huerter to go 0 for 6 from 3 in a game. That's just weird. I'm not there with Keegan yet. I feel like if he looked like his confidence was completely shook tonight and he looked like he was wearing it a ton and he wasn't engaged, that's when you think of something more drastic like that. No, you work with him and you trust, and he's got to trust his work, and the coaches have to empower him and keep him motivated and ready to go and confident.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes this season, when he started terribly in the preseason and to start the regular season, people are saying, oh, don't play him, or he needs to go, or he could come off the bench, whatever. Well, Harrison has seemingly figured it out. He ends up, not finishing strong today. No one did. He had 12 points, but I felt like early on he was being aggressive,
Attacking the
hunting
basket.
Derek White a
Yes.
little bit, and he was getting the mismatches. I like seeing that. The difference is Harrison Barnes is a veteran in the league. He's been through struggles in the NBA. Keegan Murray hasn't done that yet. So Keegan's got to fight through it. He's got to see some shots to fall, but I believe they're going to fall. I've seen enough of him to believe that it's going to turn around for him. He's in a major funk, but I'm not overreacting.
I'm with you
Keegan
there.
Murray.
I've seen enough of him play solid games. Now,
Also, the lineup, just real fast, the starting lineup with him in it is really good. They've had a lot of
Correct.
success.
and it benefits him and his game and his confidence as well. But I think a lot of the good that we have seen, yes, came from Summer League and then preseason, because that is when things were just going really well for him. Some could say, well, it's because of the type of talent he was going up against or whatever. But no, there is more to that if you just believe your eyes and the eye test, if you want to go in that direction of what he was capable of doing and just looking so NBA ready, that I go, it's not like this to me is not his identity. And this to me is something that any player can truly get out of, especially with an empowering coaching staff around like they have, and especially with a much better culture and roster around this rookie.
Yeah, he's really, this month, I'm looking at the month of November. Keegan Murray is averaging 7 points a game, 34% shooting, 27% from three in the month of November.
Yeah.
And that was after starting the season 19, 16, 18, 22. I mean, there's a lot that's happened since then. We always go back to that Charlotte game where his grandma, who was at the game, had a stroke at the game. And then he had the back thing. So there's been some bumps along the way. He started the season with COVID. Like, there's been some bumps, but now it's like, okay, how do we get him back to the Keegan you saw in the preseason, that you saw at the start of the regular season? Like, that wasn't like a fake Keegan Murray. He can play basketball. He can knock down shots. It's about getting him through it. And rookies are going to go through funks, and it's just that type of stuff shows up more when you're losing.
It totally does.
We weren't talking about this a month during the 7-game win streak, but when you lose, you're looking at it going, and the reality is you have to get him out of it soon, because you can't have nights where your starter, who's playing 25, 30 minutes a night, is giving you 3 points.
Yeah.
It just, especially when you count on his offense.
Absolutely. And he'll figure it out. But it's funny because I've said that the last few games, and I think it's just because I want it to happen so bad, in that I believe in his ability to play basketball, but I also believe in his mental ability, right? Just from what we've seen and what we've heard about him, just being this really competitive, young, mature guy. It will happen. I'm just going to stop guessing that every single game it's going to happen.
Morgan, looking at De'Aaron Fox's game, he finishes with 6 of 17, 20 points, 3 of 9 from 3. Got off to a nice start. I just felt like, and I'm looking at his second half numbers, he was 1 of 8 in the second half, 6 points, 1 of 4 shooting from 3. I feel like the threes I didn't love tonight. I feel like he did settle a lot, where it wasn't coming off ball movement. It wasn't a transition. It was, it kind of looked like something like Dame would do, right? Like, hey, I'm just going to kind of dance with you for a second, launch a 3. It just seemed kind of uncharacteristic from him, right? Based on how he's played this year. Why do you think he was settling from 3 in that fashion compared to maybe how he normally shoots threes and attacks?
I don't want to blame it on fatigue, because I didn't really necessarily see that was the case. But maybe it was more of a mental fatigue.
Yeah.
Last game of a road trip.
3
and
games in 4 nights. The first time they've done that this year.
Sure. And it's not an excuse or anything. It's more just I'm analyzing what I think it could possibly be. And I think when that happens at times, you go for what's easier. And what was easier was trying just to create off the dribble rather than cutting off guys. It's very deflating when you're moving without the basketball and you can't get it to anyone or anyone can't get it to you, right? It's just like, shit, like I'm moving for no reason at this point. But with this Celtics team, you just had to try it differently. And the Celtics did a good job of really changing up the Kings offense. That's what I was hoping that the Kings defense would do to the Celtics offense tonight. But Celtics defense did a much better job of that. And I think for De'Aaron, it was a lot of pressure on him to keep that energy alive and keep things going and try to be that hero in some ways. But instead, being that hero is playing the identity of that team basketball that we've seen so far this season.
If you're looking at it from a bright side, the Kings are 10-8.
Okay.
Still 2 games above 500 after a 1-2 road trip. In addition to that, you look at the fact that this is only the second time this season they have lost by more than 10 points. The last time it happened was the home loss to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
They've been in games. They've been pretty competitive for the most part. Tonight was not a great example. And I think they've been in games because they played the right way for the most part, or they've taken on teams that they could take advantage of, like the Pistons, this young team that didn't close well. The Spurs, they've been able to escape it. Tonight, the 3-point shooting in the last couple of games, the shooting's been bad, and then compound that with mistakes. It's trouble, but the perspective is 10-8, second double-digit loss of the season.
And a double-digit loss against one of the best teams in the NBA. And I'll take that right now. I'm not acting like I'm happy about it because I'm not with how they lost again, but I'll take that right now in this season. How they respond is oh so very important to me. It's not even about it being a win or a loss next game. I think so many people go, well, if it's a win, it's a failure. Or if it's a loss, it's a failure. And not so much. It's how they're going to play that game. All 4 quarters is really important to me. And that goes for everyone, whether you're a starter or coming off the bench.
Well, the Kings come home for a few games. I did put a poll question before we get to that I wanted to get to, Morgan, in the chat. How do you feel after the 1-2 road trip? The options, all good, still 10-8. You got to learn quick. Next option, some concern. And then worried big time. Out of the people who have voted tonight, 57% say it's all good, still 10-8, learn quick. 34% say some concern, and 9% say worried big time. Where do you fall in that category?
I'm just, you know what? I'm really not concerned, but I'll put myself in between the some concern and the all good.
Just to be clear, I just want you to be clear, just so you know, there's actually no in between option between some concern and all good.
Then I'm closer to the all good.
So you're okay. So you're not picking one.
I'll pick the all good because I have to pick one of these choices.
You guys kill me.
I'll pick all good. And I'm picking the all good because I believe, again, in the ability of this coaching staff and what we've seen in such little time of their growth, the way that they've changed this team's identity just to start this season. I believe in that. And I believe that can go a long way.
In the chat, Gavano says, I'm concerned and offended. Steven says, Deuce hates shirts with collars. Yeah, I went with the no collar look on TV tonight.
Yeah.
And, I got a lot of love for it. There's a couple people who don't understand fashion who are like, I don't get it. That shirt's hideous, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to play a game. You take a picture in your best outfit and let's compare. And then we're going to laugh at you.
Wow.
No, that's the reality.
No, that's mean. That's mean.
Morgan, you think that's a joke?
No, but you know what I don't like? I don't like that anyone even criticizes your outfits, because I just like, I think about it like as a woman and the amount of times like people would criticize my outfits. You shouldn't have to deal with it either. You shouldn't.
Okay, a couple of things. I talk a lot of smack, so people feel like they can go at me a little bit, and I'll take it. I'll take it. I also want to get to where was that comment in the chat? Where are we at? It was something about the redeem beam. Where was it? Who was the original person of this? Oh man, I can't find it. But the chat popped with it. I think Christine even said something about it. About it's time for the redeem beam.
Oh,
let's go.
I love people are saying, I miss the beam. I know.
Yeah.
You guys, it's cool to experience the joy of the winning that we have been experiencing. And I hope you keep the perspective of like, this is the NBA. This is how it's go. Yeah. Don't be triggered by losses just because they've been so, what's the word, deflating and awful and depressing over the last couple of years.
That's how you bounce back, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Morgan, even we were so excited during that 7-game streak because it was just fun. We're like, man, the Kings haven't lost in 2 weeks. This is amazing. But what did we say? Enjoy the journey. You're going to there's going to be bumps in the road. All right. There are teams around the league that have had losing skits, and it's about how you get out of it. I'm curious to see how the Kings respond when they get home. The next home game, they get a couple of days off. They're going to need it. Flying back across the country after this loss. They are back home on Monday night to take on the Phoenix Suns, who were in action and beat the Red Hot Pistons, who had won back-to-back games. They did. They won at Denver, at Utah. They were in Phoenix tonight. Phoenix held on to win 108-102. Still no Chris Paul, but of course you got Ayton, you got Booker, you've got Vets, Bridges. It's a fun team, but it's also a beatable team. They are now 12-6 on the season. And then after that, on the homestand, you get the matchup on Wednesday night.
Oh.
Tyrese Halliburton returns to Sacramento. Pacers Kings, Sabonis against his former team. Then you go on the road for the Clippers and then home for the Bulls before hitting the road yet again. Here's a question for Morgan, and here's a question for the chat at this hour.
I'm scared.
Here's the question of the hour.
Uh-huh.
You have to win one game. Would you rather the Kings win Monday night and the skid?
Okay.
Or win Wednesday night?
Wednesday. Fast answer. Wednesday. You know why? You know why? Of course that's what I want. You know what I hate is when I really want them to win.
I know.
Because that feeling for me, it dictates my entire mood, how I go about my day. Like I feel nervous, like I'm actually about to play the game. I felt that way today. I wanted this win so bad. I was excited. And I was being realistic about it, about going up against the Celtics. And that's why, like, when I look at the Suns and the Pacers, they're a scary good team.
Yes.
And I just don't want that to happen.
By the way, the Pacers were in action tonight. They were taking on the Nets. They beat them. They bounced back after losing their last game. The Pacers put up 128 points on the Nets, beat them 128-117. Durant, Simmons, and Irving did play in that game. Durant had 36. Simmons, he's been on a nice little tear here. He had 20 and 6 on 8 of 8 shooting. Kyrie, 8 of 17. He had 20 points. But for the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton having an all-star caliber year coming off the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Fox won it in the West. He had 21 points, 15 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, 7 of 15 shooting, 1 of 6 from 3.
What a loser.
No, Miles Turner's back, and he's been playing well.
Yeah.
And then their rookie. You know how much I loved Mathurin before the draft.
Since the day that we started studying his game,
Benedict Mathurin is a dog. And that's
He's
why
a dog,
I loved him.
but so many people didn't know that his offense was going to translate like this. And it's like,
Well, if they would have listened to me,
if they would have listened,
they would have listened to me, they would have heard me say this.
It wouldn't even have mattered. Yeah.
Anyway, Buddy Hield had 26 tonight. Buddy Hield's a great example, too, of a player that if he has a coach that's like, hey, this is what you're doing and go do it. And if you don't play.
Dave Yeager, Rick Carlisle.
In between, Walton Gentry. It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Pay me and I'm not going to do anything that I'm told. Ha ha.
Anyway, most people thought the Pacers were going to go in tank mode, try to get Victor Wembanyama. Well, right now, at least at this point through the season, they are performing above people's expectations. Halliburton's been good. I'm with you, Morgan. If I have to choose between winning Monday and winning Wednesday, Wednesday, just for my own psyche, that place is going to be crazy on Wednesday night. Tyrese is going to be emotional. Fans are going to be emotional. I talked to his dad last week. His dad's coming to town for the game.
Yeah.
And yes, Tyrese's dad, who listens to our podcast, still hit me up and was like, Tyrese won Eastern Conference Player of the Week. He's so happy.
That's
love
so
John,
cute.
but he's going to be in town. But like, it's going to be intense, and that trade is one that we're going to be talking about for years to come, right? And even though that game itself does not change anything that night, but that night it's going to feel like it does, right?
Oh, yeah, because
you could have drafted Mathurin and you could have still had Tyrese too.
it's that, but it's also because of the amount of years lost in this city.
Yeah.
And so to see that right in front of your eyes possibly be another legit piece that is just gone forever could be one of those depressing moments, even though only time will tell. But in that present moment, it will still suck ass.
But guess what? You got the Suns first. But there's nothing that says you can't win both those games. There's no rule against winning both those games. And the Kings have been playing better at home. The Suns are going to be tough. But like I said, every game in the NBA, name me a non-tough game in the NBA right now. Here's a great example of this. You know the Hawks that just beat the Kings the other night?
Yeah.
They lost to Houston.
The Rockets.
They lost to the Rockets tonight. The Rockets just got win number 4 of the season, putting up 128 points on the Hawks. The Hawks are beatable, Morgan.
DeJounte Murray, 39.
Yeah. Here's the headline. Think about this. If I would have said, hey, Rockets-Hawks played tonight, Trae Young dropped 44 points, and DeJounte Murray dropped 39, and both of them shot red hot. In fact, Murray, who has not shot anything from downtown this year, like 29%, he hit 8 of 13 from 3.
Wow.
Oh, and Trae Young, 14 of 16 from the line, 13 of 28 overall. You would have been like, oh, God, that's awesome. They won by 50. Well, no, that didn't happen. Jalen Green had 30. Garrison Matthews had 20 off the bench. Jabari Smith Jr. had 21 and 9. Oh, my God. And Martin had 21.
And that's why in the NBA, you got to be locked in every single night. And that's why I'll be lenient when it's a back-to-back or when, we talk about 3 games in 4 nights. But when you lose because of your effort or your sloppiness or you're just not locked in, that's when I'm going to be frustrated.
Man, crazy. That's the NBA for you.
It sure is.
That's the NBA for you.
And it's exciting. And I love that about the NBA. And that's why I love so many national podcasts and so many national people are digging the beam and the Sacramento Kings. And those vibes, because they start to fade away because a winning streak goes away or whatever it may be, don't worry. It will come back. The redeem beam. The way to get on a winning streak again. Dude, it is possible.
Who was it in the chat that said redeem beam initially? We got to give you credit.
So sorry.
Also, our guy Daily Sabonis had a nickname for the Kings bench that I liked. Beam unit. Is that G unit? That was good.
No, I get it.
Shout out to our guy Kenneth who donated $50 saying a 4-0 win streak is coming.
Thanks,
Hell
Kenneth.
Yes. Hell yes. Appreciate that. Derek in the chat was asking if we have ever talked about maybe the Kings, because they need some rim protection, maybe they should play a 2-way player in Neemias Queta.
We've touched on it.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep an eye on it. I would say that Queta has been a little up and down. I think the one thing that Queta has to continue to work on with his game is, one, staying out of foul trouble.
Yes.
Rebounding better.
Okay.
And playing with a little more edge, right? Like, because he has skills. Like, you see how he moves.
There's time he has
scores.
swagger out there, his footwork, everything.
He can hit a jumper now. he can block shots. He does foul a lot. So I'm sure they're going to keep an eye on it. And yeah, if he can kind of get into a good rhythm in Stockton, maybe that's someone you look at. The other guy, I think that don't be surprised if we're talking about him later this year playing in Sacramento is Keon Ellis. He can hit the three. Yeah, because I'm just trying to think the Kings are going to make some moves at some point, and who's going to go? I don't know who that is. Let's just play a world where like maybe you have to like give up someone like Terrence Davis who you like, but you're like, hey, we got Keon Ellis and we need something else. Let's do this. I think Keon can come out and help you. It's a different than Terrence Davis because I think Keon gives you a little more consistency defensively, less erratic on that end.
Yeah.
But Terrence can get you buckets. TD gets you, like TD can drop. We saw him drop 30 plus in a game.
Yeah. I think with Nemi though, really quick too, I think it's, I would say the most encouraging thing about him is that you've seen the development and the growth each year, right? It's not exactly where you want it to be. You want it to take even a bigger leap in certain aspects of his game, but it still has grown so much that I am encouraged that there's something there. He can hit that outside three a little bit, and he can handle the ball if he needs to on the offensive end to get crafty and do something and go to the rim and finish at the rim. But then there's other times when he makes these other mistakes. You're like, okay, that is just not going to fly. And the other stuff has to remain consistent if you want to make it into the NBA.
In the chat, people are letting us know it was Delivery Joe that came up with the Redeem Beam. Yeah, we need a little Redeem Beam coming up on Monday night. That would be great. As Nick would say, why
not?
Not win? Well, Morgan, any other thoughts as we wrap this up? This is a condensed one. Do you have more thoughts?
My only other thoughts, being on NBC Sports California with you has been such a joy, and I hope it can continue sometime because I really obviously enjoy podcasting with you, and I think we're going to be doing this forever, no matter what.
Yeah.
So when I got the opportunity to experience TV with you in that fashion, I was like, oh, this was just so fun.
It was a lot of fun. And the one thing in my career that's been so funny is when I first became like a radio show host. I had never actually hosted a radio show like as a driver.
Yeah.
And I got that chance. And then when radio ended and Good Day Sacramento, I was like, hey, do you want to try TV? And then I did TV. My whole point to this, I keep getting these opportunities to do these things that I don't necessarily have experience with. And I give a lot of credit to the people who like over at NBC who like trusted, like, you know what? I know he's never done this before. But let's give it a shot and let's see what it looks like. Yeah. And so like to get that chance and to, you know, I did a pretty good job. We have great chemistry. Would have been more fun had they won.
Yeah.
Thank you. But it was so fun. It doesn't feel like work. This doesn't feel like work. We're watching basketball, talking about it. And then on TV, the only difference is it's a little shorter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's much shorter. It's like, all right, you're coming back. You've got 45 seconds to preview the next game. Okay.
Deuce can talk for hours.
You know what my favorite thing today was? Me and you this morning, we were meeting to talk about like, hey, let's break down something in the game.
Yes.
And we were like, let's talk about second half defense. And we were on NBA.com. And we were looking at late game DeJounte Murray plays in the second half and Trae Young plays. We were marking them down. And then we sent them over to NBC and they put this awesome graphic together.
It was so
this
cool.
awesome video thing. And me and you pregame are breaking it. I felt like Kenny Smith up there.
It was so fun breaking that down. Because I wish we could do that more even on our YouTube channel and break down actual video and not get flagged for having certain content on our channel. And maybe we can figure out ways and deals of how
I don't know how that works. How does I keep thinking about King's Film Room, and
we should ask him.
Skylar is amazing and does great content. I'm like, wait, how do you monetize that content if it's an NBA like broadcast?
I don't know.
But no, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
No, so just all in all, I know 2 losses, but I just really enjoyed watching the game with you two. That was a lot of fun. So thanks.
King Louis says, question for you two. Would you rather be hosting or commentating the game? Look, I don't know. I like both. I feel like I could do both. So whatever chances I get, whatever. Like to me, here's how I'm like KZ Okpala. I'm like KZ Okpala.
Yeah.
Just call me. I'll come in and play.
Same.
You want me to play? I'll come in and
oh,
play.
Same. Like I feel like we in that sounds weird, but I feel like we could be capable of doing so many different things because we just have fun doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's never like the nerves don't come over. It's like, okay, put me in, coach, and I'm going to try and execute and be the best at whatever I can be. I think one of the things I have most fun with is calling games because I just get to purely analyze and break down. When like I'm hosting and stuff, there's so much multitasking where I'm throwing, assist, where sometimes I'm like, yo, I want to make some baskets too.
Everyone asks, hey, what do you want to do?
Be in this business.
I just want to do it all. I want to do I want to do podcasting. I want to do play-by-play. I'd love to be on pre or post game shows. I want to do it all. Like I don't want to limit myself. I just want to have fun talking sports. Like
NBA.
Hey, you want to do some TV? Cool. You want to do radio if it's the right opportunity? Yeah, I'd think about it. Night chats? Yeah, I literally want to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's fun because that's what I do.
It's just
when I was a
fun.
little kid, that's what I wanted to do.
I know.
And I'm doing it.
And that's what's so cool too is that like no one gets to put you in a box anymore. Like this is what you have to do or this is what you have to be good at. Because if you can show and prove that you can be good at all these different positions, people are going to use you for all these different positions. So yes, it's really cool to be like, nope, I just want to do it all in this business, especially when it comes to NBA and especially when it comes to the Sacramento Kings.
I appreciate the kind words, though.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you. It was
super.
fun.
It's been super fun.
You made it easy.
Hey, thanks.
Shout out to everyone here. Before you go, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe. We'll be back Monday night following Kings Suns for an extended night chat. We'll have a lot of fun that night. We'll be live like after the game, like usual.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being patient for the later night chats after these games. We appreciate all the love too with what we did over at NBC Sports California the last couple of days. Thank you so much. We love you guys so much. But we gots to go.
You're all badass for being here. Seriously, thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Friday night. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.